A Premier League legend questions the departure of Julián Álvarez from Manchester City with clear darts at Guardiola. €75 million were taken out of Manchester City by Julián Álvarez. While Atlético de Madrid enjoys a successful operation for Pablo Simeone's ranks, in the United Kingdom, the questions continue to be raised against Pep Guardiola in relation to this. A Premier League legend has pointed the finger at the former Barcelona manager for the sale of the Argentine, who does not feel that he has been restored in the Catalan's team. At the Etihad, there are more goals and assists missing than ever. Paolo di Canio, emblem of West Ham United and one of the main faces of the tournament at the end of the 90s and beginning of the 21st century, is the latest voice to question Guardiola's decisions regarding the departure of Julián Álvarez from Manchester City. The Italian perfectly understands the amounts received by the Sky Blue team, but much less the ways in which the Catalan squad was planned after the sale of the former River Plate player. Let's not forget that Pep's team is currently 5th in the general standings. The serious thing, in my opinion, is the erroneous evaluation of Julián Álvarez. He was someone who helped everyone with his movements, his assists and his goals. It is fine to sell him for €90 million, but he had to be replaced. Instead, Guardiola had the audacity to sign someone from within. He didn't think about signing someone new, and that was a mistake. The legendary Italian striker reflected on everything that has happened in recent months. Let's not forget that the Argentine asked to leave Manchester to regain his starting position, as far as his club is concerned, and also for reasons of adaptation that did not end up being the best in the United Kingdom. We all know the story to date. While Manchester City has only won one of its last 11 games, and the team is experiencing the worst crisis of results that can be remembered under Guardiola, Julián Álvarez and Atlético de Madrid are currently second in the standings with 44 points behind Real Madrid, who are in first place in the Spanish competition with 46 points. Manchester City's results crisis is also tied to a goal drought that is not suitable for a Guardiola team. There is a lack of players who can score goals, and not only Erling Haaland can sustain the club today, in this sense. On the other side of Europe and in 17 games, Julián Álvarez has already reached 12 sacred goals with Atlético de Madrid, and also a couple of assists that would fall squarely on Guardiola's team. The questions continue while he waits for a January market where we will see if finally the current 4-time Premier League champion reinforces its ranks or not. If you're passionate about soccer and love staying informed about everything happening with transfers and controversial decisions like Guardiola's with Alvarez, subscribe to our channel to stay up to date on everything going on in the beautiful game. Fabio Capello also gave his opinion on the matter. Other voices have joined in Canio's barbs. Fabio Capello, former England manager, has added his criticism of Pep. Guardiola is a great coach, but he is too arrogant and presumptuous. Sometimes he has even lost trophies because he wanted to show that it was he who won and not the players, so he dropped key figures in the team in important matches. In my opinion, that was an attempt to take the limelight and credit away from his team. Julián Álvarez's numbers at Manchester City, the Argentine's 24 months at the Etihad, were glorious in terms of winning titles. His 38 goals and 17 assists with Guardiola made him one of the best assets in the rotation of Pep's team. Then came Pablo Simeone and an Atlético de Madrid that made a historic outlay to get one of the best forwards of the next decade. In England, there are many voices that consider that selling the Spider was a mistake, and that he never had a replacement for the current campaign. Guardiola has problems with his replacement, but before Álvarez was so sincere, the British team was reluctant to let him go. Although he was not an undisputed starter, he was the player who accumulated the most games in the 2023/2024 season. However, Pep Guardiola accepted Julian's position and began to give greater prominence in the pre-season to Oscar Bob, whom he alternated with Erling Haaland. However, the Catalan strategist's plans were burned by Bob's injury, who suffered a fibula fracture. Thus, at Manchester City, at this time they are considering turning to the transfer market to add a new striker. Possible Guardiola dart to Alvarez. The Argentine asked Pep Guardiola for more minutes, who did not give them to him, and the player opted to look for an exit and fell into Atlético de Madrid of Cholo Simeone, where it cost him a bit to adapt, but now he is a key piece in the Argentine coaches team. However, in the last hours after Haaland's mega renewal for 10 years, Pep Guardiola launched an indirect to Julian. The great forwards will not arrive to replace Erling Haaland, so we have to find young people who accept that secondary role, said the coach. He added, "We have very varied players like Oscar, Bob, James McAtee, Phil, Foden. Maybe without Erling we will play in a different way, with a false nine, with alternatives, with more runners from the outside, more wingers inside. We will look for other solutions." Pep Guardiola and the consequences of letting go of great talents. In the fast-paced world of modern football, every decision by a manager can have profound implications on the performance and dynamics of a team. For Pep Guardiola, a tactician known for his ability to innovate and get the most out of his players, the departures of Cole Palmer and Julian Álvarez from Manchester City in recent transfer windows have sparked considerable debate. How have these decisions affected the club and the future of the players? Cole Palmer, the promise that got away. Cole Palmer, trained in the youth divisions of Manchester City, was considered one of the brightest players of the academy. His ability to unbalance in the final third of the field, his ability and vision made him a long-term option for the first team. However, his move to Chelsea, prompted by a lack of consistent opportunities under Guardiola, raises several questions. In immediate terms, Palmer's departure has reduced City's attacking options at a time when rotation is key due to the tight schedule. There is also a risk that the young talent will develop his full potential in a direct rival, something that could have repercussions in future fixtures. The decision also sends a mixed message to other youngsters in the academy, who could question their chances of progressing into the first team. Currently, Cole Palmer has made a total of 68 appearances for Chelsea, with 39 goals and 21 assists. Julian Álvarez, the spider who wove goals. On the other hand, the departure of Julian Álvarez, a dynamic and versatile striker, had an even more significant impact. While he achieved brilliant moments during his time with City, such as key goals in important competitions, his lack of constant prominence in the starting team may have motivated his decision to seek new horizons. The Argentine proved to be much more than a simple complement to Erling Haaland. His ability to adapt to different roles in attack and his defensive tenacity made him a valuable piece in Guardiola's schemes. His departure weakened the depth of the team. Impact on the team. These decisions have highlighted a recurring theme in the Guardiola era: the balance between maintaining a competitive squad and offering continuity to emerging players. Although City remains one of the most complete teams in Europe, the lack of reliable alternatives could take its toll at key moments of the season, especially in competitions such as the Champions League and the Premier League. The departure of talented players also forces them to rely more on external signings, which can generate greater financial pressure and make it difficult to integrate new figures into the team's style of play. The departure of Julián Álvarez from Manchester City has made it clear that even the best strategists, such as Pep Guardiola, are not exempt from making mistakes. In this case, the impact of losing a versatile, committed player with a hunger for prominence like the Spider is felt both on the field and on the scoreboard. While Atlético de Madrid enjoys the talent and goals of the Argentine, Guardiola's team faces a goal-scoring drought that is far from being resolved with current options. It is true that football is a sport of quick decisions and calculated risks, but this seems to be one of the costliest in recent years for the citizens. Only time will tell if Manchester City manages to recover and find solutions in the transfer market, or if this chapter will be remembered as one of the great mistakes of the Guardiola era. And you, what do you think? Was it a mistake to sell Julián Álvarez, or do you believe Guardiola has a long-term strategy? Leave us your opinion in the comments or suggestions. We'll be reading them.